The screams from under the bed. In a small, quiet town nestled between dense forests and misty mountains lived an ordinary family, Mr. and Mrs. Carter, their 8-year-old son Liam, and their 12-year-old daughter Emily. They had recently moved into an old house that had been passed down through generations of Mrs. Carter's family. The house was charming but creaky, with wooden floors that groaned underfoot and walls that seemed to whisper secrets when the wind howled outside. Liam loved his new room. It was filled with toys left behind by previous children who had lived there. But one thing about the room unsettled him: the bed. It was an antique 4-poster bed with intricate carvings along its frame. At first, Liam thought it looked cool, like something out of a fairy tale. However, as days turned into weeks, he began noticing strange things happening around it. The first noise. It all started one night when Liam woke up to a faint sound coming from beneath his bed. At first, he thought it might be the cat or maybe some stray animals sneaking inside the house. He peeked over the edge cautiously, flashlight in hand, but found nothing except dust bunnies and shadows cast by the moonlight streaming through the window. But then, the noise came again, a soft whimpering, almost like someone crying. Liam called Emily from her room next door. "Are you okay?" "Yeah," he replied nervously. "Just checking if the cat is here." He tried to convince himself it was just his imagination, but deep down, he knew something wasn't right. That night, he couldn't fall back asleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he swore he could hear faint whispers emanating from underneath the bed. The growing fear. Over the following nights, the noises grew louder and more frequent. What began as soft whimpers evolved into muffled screams, high-pitched, terrified cries that made Liam's blood run cold. Sometimes, he would wake up drenched in sweat, certain that someone or something was watching him from below. One evening, while playing video games in the living room, Liam asked his parents about the bed. "Mom, Dad, do you know anything weird about my bed?" he said casually, trying not to sound too scared. His mother paused mid-sentence, looking thoughtful. "Well, your great-grandmother used to tell stories about that bed," she admitted. "She said it was cursed because it belonged to a little girl who died mysteriously many years ago." "A ghost story?" Liam laughed, though his heart raced at the thought. "Not exactly," his father interjected. "There were rumors that the girl didn't die naturally. Some say she disappeared without a trace, while others claim she was taken by something." Liam's smile faded. Taken by what? No one answered. His parents exchanged uneasy glances before changing the subject entirely. The entity beneath. That night, Liam decided to investigate further. Armed with his flashlight and a baseball bat, just in case, he lay flat on the floor and shone the light under the bed. To his surprise, the space beneath was pitch black, even though the rest of the room was well lit. It was as if the darkness itself was swallowing the light. Suddenly, a pair of glowing red eyes appeared in the abyss. Liam gasped and scrambled backward, dropping the flashlight. Before he could react, a raspy voice whispered directly into his ear. "You shouldn't have woken me." Paralyzed with fear, Liam froze as icy fingers wrapped around his ankle and pulled him toward the edge of the bed. He screamed for help, thrashing wildly, until finally, his sister burst into the room. "What's wrong?" Emily demanded, flipping on the lights. Panting heavily, Liam pointed at the bed. "Something's under there. It tried to grab me." Emily rolled her eyes. "Relax, Liam. It's probably just your imagination." But later that night, as she lay in her own bed, Emily heard it too, the unmistakable sound of muffled screams echoing from Liam's room. The revelation. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily joined forces with Liam to solve the mystery. Together, they searched the attic for clues about the bed's history. Among piles of dusty books and forgotten photographs, they discovered an old journal belonging to their great-great-grandmother. Inside the journal, they read chilling entries describing a young girl named Clara who once owned the bed. According to the writings, Clara had vanished one stormy night after claiming that the voices under her bed told her to come closer. No one ever saw her again. As they flipped through the pages, a sudden gust of wind blew through the attic, scattering papers everywhere. One page caught Emily's eye, a drawing of the same bed, surrounded by jagged lines resembling claw marks. Beneath the illustration was a warning written in shaky handwriting. "If you hear the screams, run. Do not look under the bed." The final confrontation. Despite the warning, curiosity got the better of them. Late that night, armed with courage and flashlights, Liam and Emily returned to Liam's room. This time, the screams were louder than ever, accompanied by the sound of scratching nails against wood. With trembling hands, Emily grabbed the flashlight and aimed it under the bed. For a split second, they saw it, a grotesque figure with hollow eyes, skeletal hands, and a mouth stretched wide in a silent scream. It lunged toward them, faster than either sibling expected. Panicking, Liam and Emily bolted out of the room, slamming the door shut behind them. They barricaded it with furniture, hoping to trap whatever monstrosity resided beneath the bed. But the creature wouldn't stay contained. Its claws scraped against the door, followed by bone-chilling laughter that reverberated throughout the house. Then, silence. The next morning, the Carters packed their belongings and fled the house, leaving everything behind, even the bed. No one dared to return. Years later, locals claimed that anyone brave enough to enter the abandoned home could still hear the screams emanating from beneath the bed. And so, the legend of the cursed bed continued, haunting those foolish enough to listen. Did you enjoy the story? Let me know if you'd like any changes or additional details.